Hi, this is Mr. West, and today we're doing a tutorial video on finding percents of a number. This, of course, is from MathDrills.com. Make sure to check out Math Drills. They have amazing resources related to math, and they have other great worksheets, so make sure to check them out in the link in the description below. So when we're talking about finding the value of each percent, what we're finding is really a translation of a word problem. So 35%. First, let's break down percent. Percent means a number out of 100. So really we can convert that into decimal form, which is kind of what you need in order to do any operations with percents. You want it as a decimal. So this is kind of our target right here. And that looks kind of goofy, but really what I was trying to go for is that is a number because it's the same number out of 100 that we write there as a decimal. So that's number one. Two, anytime we see this word of, really what we're talking about is we are multiplying. We're multiplying something by another number, okay? And then 31 is just the value, okay? So this could be money, like what is 35% of 31? If you wanted to tip $31 at 35%, how much money would that be? Okay, there's a lot of relationships with these numbers to the real world application. So let's go ahead and start. The first step I'm going to take with all of these problems is converting this into a decimal. So 35% becomes 0.35. How do I know that? Anytime I have a percent, I can rewrite it like this. That is 35 hundredths. That's how you say that fraction. And 35 hundredths written as a decimal is exactly that, because that's the hundredths place, and that's 35 of them, 35 hundredths. So it's a really easy way to write decimals from percentages. Percentages are fractions, and they relate pretty easily all interchangeably like that. Okay, so then I'm going to multiply, okay, because of means multiply. And then we have 31. So I have my problem set up here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the standard algorithm and then go from there. It doesn't really matter which one I put on top. I'm going to put 0.35 and then I multiply by 31 on the bottom. And the reason why I'm going to do that is just because it's a bigger number. It appears like a bigger number if I move the decimal place. And I just need to remember to move that decimal place back when I'm done. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this and change the color, and just to show you the standard algorithm in case you're unfamiliar. So I'm going to write this is 31. I'm going to start by multiplying the 1 times all those digits in the top. So 1 times 5 gives me 5. 1 times 3 gives me 3. And I don't need to do the 1 times the 0, so I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so that you don't need to do it because it's just going to be 0. Now, before I go on to the 3, I always have to put a 0 because that's the tens place. Okay, I'm treating that as the tens place. And so now I do 3 times 5, that's 15. I need to carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus that 1 in the top, and that gives me 10. So my answer looks like it's 35 plus 1,050, but that is not going to be the answer, okay? So we're actually going to move the decimal place when we're done, but let's go ahead and do this addition. So we have 5, 8, 0, and 1. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to move that decimal place. How do we determine how many places that gets moved over? Well, we're going to count the total number of places it's moved in the problem. There's only 2 places moved in the top. This bottom one doesn't have a decimal anywhere, so we're going to move it 2 places back. So 10.85 is going to be our answer for the first problem. Okay, so that's the process. I'm going to show you another way maybe in a little bit. Okay, I also have another video, I think it's a Math Drills one, where I talk about an easier way to do it. I think I might be able to get to it in this one. All right, so let's go ahead and break the next one down. I'm going to go straight down from the first one. Here's our percent. The first thing I'm going to do is rewrite that as a decimal. So I have 0.91, okay? And then I already said that this number is multiplication. Let me erase this just to be consistent. There we go. And that's multiplication, and then 5, that's my number, and then there I go. Now I'm just going to put, it doesn't really matter which one I put on top. I like to put the longer number, so 0.91, and then multiply by 5, standard algorithm here. I don't need different colors. I get 545, oops. Okay, and then I have to move the decimal 2 places over, so I get 4.55. Now, there's some kind of cool math tricks that you can use, especially when you have a nice number. I'm going to see if there's any good ones here. Yeah, there is. Okay, so over here, 67% of 10. What you can do, because this can be rewritten as 67 over 100 times 10, what some people like to do is they like to shift this over 100 over here. And that's legal because when you multiply fractions, okay, technically we make that 10 over 1, you end up getting something that looks like this. And it doesn't really matter how you rearrange this after that. So that's why you can technically do this. Okay, because we're just multiplying anyway, I can slide this over here just like this. And what does that do? What it does is it changes the problem to be 67 times 10%. So really what you can do here is any of these problems, you can change the percent to be on the other number. That's kind of cool because what you can do is if it's like a nice number like 10 or 25 or 75 and it's not the percent, you can make it the percent. Let me show you what that does for you. So 67, if I'm like, hey, 10%, well, I know I just need to move the decimal place 1 over for 10%, and I get 6.7 as my answer. 10% written as a decimal is 0.1. So then it just becomes 7, 6, and then I move the decimal over 6.7, okay? But I know 10% is just moving over the decimal place 1 over. 25, this could become 25% of 13. That might be a little bit easier. It's probably best with 50%. I'm trying to find any of those. I don't think there's a 50 number here, okay? But a lot of these, like 40 might be somewhat easy to change that to that one to the percent. But bottom line is it doesn't matter which method you use. Just understanding that you need to change the decimal to percent and then go from there. That's probably the best way to go, okay? So I have 0.29 times, I want that not to look like a decimal, times 9. And it's the same process here. It's the same thing that we've been doing. We have 1. We're going to carry the 8. We're going to add that later. 9 times 2 is 18. Add the 8 is 26. Move the decimal place 2 over, and we get 2.61. So that's how you do all these problems. I hope this was clear for you. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Make sure to check out other percentages and other worksheets like this on mathdrills.com. And I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.